Second Niger Bridge and Lagos-Ibadan Expressway to be completed before 2023, says Buhari. Nigerian Communications Commission sets reserve price for 5G spectrum auction at $197.4 million. Crude jumps on global energy crunch, U.S. oil at 7-year high. Plus standards in Nigerian market amid implementation of African Continental Free Trade Agreement is the focus on the program. Details of this and more on Business Express on the network service of the NTA. We are reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Musa Abubakar. Now let's begin with the infrastructure. President Muhammadu Buhari this Monday in Abuja assured Nigerians that the 11.9 kilometers Second Niger Bridge, 120 kilometers Lagos-Ibadan Expressway and other key projects under the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund will be completed within the second term of his administration. The president gave the assurance at the opening of a two-day midterm ministerial performance review retreat organized to assess the progress made towards the achievement of the 9 key priority areas of infrastructure, transportation, economy, electricity supply, the petroleum industry, among others.
Work is expected to commence very soon on the Port Harcourt, Maiduguri line and Calabar-Lagos coastal line to connect the southern and eastern states of our country. Progress is also being made on the upgrading of our airports with the state-of-the-art facilities in line with world-class safety standards. In addition, we have launched the Nigeria Innovation Fund by the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority. This is aimed at addressing investment opportunities in the domestic technology sector, data networking, data centers, software, agriculture, agri-tech, biotech, and more.
The African Development Bank will be investing $3 billion to support Africa's pharmaceutical and vaccines production capacity to boost quality health care on the continent. President of the bank, Akinwumi Adesina, confirmed this in a meeting with African ambassadors at the Chancellery of the Republic of Congo in Washington.
That we must develop Africa's indigenous pharmaceutical capacity, industrial manufacturing capacity. Right now, Africa imports more than 80% of all the pharmaceutical products that we use on the continent. The second is we must develop Africa's vaccine manufacturing capacity on our continent.
Now, the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, has set the reserve price for sale of 5th generation 5G auction at $197.4 million for mobile network operators. According to the 5G auction draft information memorandum released by the Commission, the telecom regulator plans to hold the auction in December. NCC said it may offer 2 lots of 100 megahertz, each in the 3.5 gigahertz band, ranging from 3500 to 3600 megahertz and 3700 to 3800 megahertz for action for the 5G network deployment in the country, as it is empowered by Section 121 of the Nigerian Communications Act 2003. In the 80-page draft IM document on 3.5 gigahertz spectrum auction uploaded by NCC, the Commission said that the generic reserve price is the minimum price at which a lot shall be sold. NCC said this is the reserve price for one lot of 100 megahertz and has a value of $197.4 million, or its equivalent in naira at the prevailing Central Bank of Nigeria rates at the time of the auction. It stressed that each lot of 100 megahertz represents one eligibility point. Now to commodities, gold flat on Monday as Fed expected to stick to tapering plans. Let's see prices of other commodities. I have with me Mr. Standard Farouk Salim. He is the Chief Executive Officer, Standard Organization of Nigeria, and our conversation will center on standard in Nigerian market amid implementation of African Continental Free Trade Agreement. You're welcome to Business Express.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, the Nigerian market has seen a lot of influx of substandard goods, which has been bad rather than good in recent times. How are you handling all that?
Well, we're handling it in various ways. We have we try to nip it at the bud by trying to use intelligence report to make sure those containers are taken care of, and then we reach out to warehouses using our intelligence group where people report bad things in the warehouses, and also we reach out as sensitizations to the market associations to explain to them some of those things that are happening are bad, and they see the consequences of it in the society. So,
but how would you assess the sensitization? Is it far-reaching? Has it reached different localities?
Yes, it does. Actually, 3 weeks ago, I was at Alaba Market. I was the guest of the Electronic Dealers of Nigeria. And we did explain to them the dangers involved, because some of these electronics, can explode and cause damages, burn houses, and of course, one of the biggest problems is that these cheap substandard goods coming into the country destroying our local industry. So it's a lot of issues. We have to tie it with security issues, unemployment, and dangers to society.
Okay, looking at the African Continental Free Trade market, what is happening with certification of products for export? Looking at the fact that Nigeria has one of the largest share of the market.
Yeah, actually the African Free Trade, we are the largest in the continent. Of course, South Africa is second. We do have a certification programs already in the ground. We have our MANCAP certification, which is for local manufactured goods. And we do have other, like we have our labs that will check almost everything. We have about 45 labs that are accredited internationally. And those products ranging from cable, electrical, food, we all test them in our labs in Lagos, and they get certified. So we are ready when it comes to certification and preparation. The biggest issue generally is that some of our customers, they don't kind of consult us to reach out to us so we can help them with the certifications. They just export stuff without checking for standards, and that becomes a problem. That's why you hear situations where goods are returned or are left to rot in the ports overseas.
Okay. What about made in Nigerian goods? Any effort to promote made in Nigerian goods?
Well, that's the point. You see, our certification certifies our product, and we are currently with the African standard organizations. We are meeting with various African standard organizations to have a mutual agreement where we have a mutual recognition agreement where if we have our stamp, they will take it in their country, and if they have their stamp, we take it in this country. So the effort is robust. It's just at a very infant stage right now.
Okay, how do we use standardization as a tool to create more jobs?
Well, that is very important because first of all, lack of standardization cost a lot of jobs. We lost a lot of factories, a lot of individuals lose their ability to make a living because substandard goods are coming into the country and destroying our local industries. So if we follow the standards in letting things into the country, if we follow standards in manufacturing, what happens is there will be more customers buying our goods, and with more customers buying our goods, there will be more employment, more opportunities for our people to have jobs. So it goes together, because if you have a standard product, you can ship it to any of these neighboring African countries, and people will buy it, they will not block it. One of the things that I always like to point out is some countries, I'm not saying specific country does it or the other, but since you cannot legally now with the World Trade Organization policies block foreign goods from coming in, most countries now are going to use standards to stop the goods from coming into the country. So if our goods locally are up to standard, then they can cross over borders seamlessly. They can actually go all the way to Europe. And that is something.
Okay, since you've mentioned that, how about goods being exported out there and they have been rejected? I think there are several cases. We had lots of cases.
Well, you see the problem, and I mentioned that just day before yesterday, the problem is individuals exporting goods, the entrepreneurs. Sometimes people look at the results, like, somebody will tell you if you import yam in London, a tuber is £2. You just quickly gather your yams and clean them up and put them in a container and ship them. But the entrepreneurs do not take the time to do their homework, to see what standards are there in Europe, what are the requirements, what kind of certification they needed. Because, for example, if they come to us with a tuber of yams, we have standards for those kind of items. Tubers, we have standards for almost everything. So then we can say, okay, we have a certification, your product is up to standard. And then they look at other requirements in Europe, and then they do the paperwork and everything. So a lot of times, I like to think is because these individuals are not informed about what they needed in those host countries, and that's why their products are blocked at the ports.
But could it be that you no longer operate at the nation's port?
Well, that has nothing to do with it per se, because we operating at the nation's port is actually to police what is coming in. What is going out, being Nigeria is a very free country, you can put everything in your bag as long as it's not illegal, you take it out. So you can put whatever items you're exporting in a container and ship it out. The customs will check it to make sure it's not a contraband. So our ability not to be in ports actually stymied our ability to protect the country from substandard goods, leading to loss of jobs and factories closing. But basically, that is the export has nothing to do with that.
Okay, on the African single market, Kenya, Egypt, South Africa, and Ghana have certain infrastructure in place for this market. Where is Nigeria in this equation?
Well, the thing is, what I like about our people is we underestimate our ability and our power in the continent, in the world actually. Nigeria is a robust economy, it's a robust country, and we as individuals are very versatile. So really, when it comes to infrastructure or ready for the free trade agreement in Africa, I think we are very ready. The issue usually is that we need to just make sure that goods coming into the country are protected and they are up to standard, and they are not going to cause harm to our population. But as our factories, for example, most of our factories are very up to standard in the sense that people are actually now faking made in Nigeria products overseas, like our cable, our lubricants are so good that anywhere you go in West Africa, you see any of those items there on the shelves.
Okay, before I let you go, are we doing enough in terms of enlightenment?
Well, in life, if you say you're doing enough, that means you're dead. So essentially, no, we have room to grow, and we have opportunities to make people aware of what the goods are and the damage to the society and the community. So yeah, we are doing it, and we're increasing we're ramping it up, because now we are reaching out to markets. Like I told you, I was in the market 2 weeks ago, and we are using media here to explain to people why standards are important, why standards are a security issue in the country. Because ordinarily, if you tell somebody, oh, you know, standards are part of national security, they'll look at you like, why? But when you look at it in detail, we don't have that much time, but when you look at it in detail, you discover that substandard goods come into the country, they're cheap, they destroy our standard goods, our factories are closed, people don't have a job, and then they are, you know, idle, and then, you know, insecurity happens because people like to try other things, you know, banditry, cults, you know, 419 and all that bad stuff. So
okay. Yeah. Any initiative for the small and medium scale industry to meet this standard?
Yes, actually, we have a robust initiative with state governments, because one of the things we recognize the fact is local governments, state governments are closer to those industries. So we reach out to governors with MOUs where we sign those agreements, and what we do essentially for those industries is, you know, we help them package their product. Actually, even the area they produce the product, we help them have a clean environment, and then we help them package it, label it, and then even sometimes marketing. Because a lot of problems we're having is, if you go to the market, you see products that are locally made, good quality, but the way they look is not appetizing compared to a fake product from a foreign country.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Farouk Salim, Chief Executive Officer, Standard Organization of Nigeria. Thank you for
coming. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Now, Business Express continues after the break. Oil prices surged again on Monday, extending multi-week gains as an energy crisis gripping major economies shows no sign of easing amid a peak up in economic activity and restrained supplies from major producers. Brent crude was up $1.20 at $83.59 a barrel after gaining nearly 4% last week. U.S. oil was up $1.46 at $80.81 a barrel, the highest since late 2014. Prices have risen as more vaccinated populations are brought out of coronavirus lockdowns, supporting a revival of economic activity, with Brent advancing for 5 weeks and U.S. crude for 7. Now, investors rake 520 billion naira in September as NGX gains traction. Bosede Abel has details of the market in the week ended.
The NGX All-Share Index and market capitalization for week ended 8th October appreciated by 1.61% and 1.62% to close the week at 40,868.36 basis points and 21.2 trillion naira. At a turnover of 2.1 billion shares worth 21.9 billion naira, in 22,438 deals were traded by investors on the floor of the exchange. All other indices finished higher, with the exception of NGX Insurance and NGX Consumer Goods indices that shared 1.51% and 0.51%, while the NGX, ASM NGX Growth and NGX Sovereign Bond indices closed flat. The financial services industry led the activity chart with 1.7 billion shares valued at 18 billion naira traded in 12,942 deals. The conglomerate industry followed with 93.1 million shares worth 169.8 million naira. The third place was the ICT industry with a turnover of 72.3 million shares worth 1 billion naira in 861 deals. Trading in the top three equities were FBN Holdings, Universal Insurance and Fidelity Bank. They jointly accounted for 1.1 billion shares worth 12.3 billion naira in 3,460 deals. Exchange traded product ETPs had a total of 260 units valued at 5,362 naira traded in 2 deals, as well as a total of 62,005 units valued at 65.8 million naira in 39 deals for federal government bonds. 42 equities appreciated in price during the week, 26 equities depreciated in price, while 87 equities remained unchanged. Boss said the Able Business Express.
Now let's join Ineka Oko with Global Stocks Update.
European stocks kicked off the week slightly lower on Monday as nerves around inflation and the upcoming earnings season offset surging commodity prices that supported oil and mining shares. The DAX slipped 0.4% to close at 15,194.15. CAC 40 of France also depreciated by 0.09%, while London's FTSE added 0.19%. In Asia, stocks were mixed as shares in Hong Kong led gains regionally. By the close of market, Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index climbed 1.96% to 25,325.09. Shanghai Composite was a little bit changed at 3,591.71, while the Nikkei in Japan added 1.6%. U.S. stock indices were lower in early morning trading. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 61 points, S&P 500 0.26%, and Nasdaq 100 0.38%. The mood in Africa was less tentative, with only markets in Kenya and Ghana edging lower after other major indices closed little changed. South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 was up by 1.06%, Tunisia's Tunidex added 0.31%, and Namibia's overall index topped 0.15%. And that's Global Market. Neka Oko.
This is where we end this edition of Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTS channel. Business Express returns Tuesday by 9:30 a.m. I am Musa Abubakar.